I'm Natalie and welcome to the Immaculate Confections YouTube channel. Today we've got a video on how to make this lovely floral posy inspired by the movie Moana. We've got some lovely foliage, some little coconuts, some feathers and the most adorable miniature hibiscus flowers for you there. Don't forget you can grab all your tools, equipment and colours from our website, immaculateconfections.co.uk, and you can come and join us in our Facebook group, Natalie's Cake Studio. You'll find both the links in the description below. I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget, click like and subscribe. That will really help us out. Thanks so much and we'll see you soon. Hi everyone, good evening. How are you doing? It's Sunday, so that means that we're here for another live. So on our list of things for today, we have got some super easy tropical leaves and some little coconuts, and I'm feeling crazy like a coconut today, and some wee little hibiscuses, which I know a lot of you were asking about, so I had to play with these earlier and figured a way to do it. Like, it's fairly straightforward, and I think they look effective when they're dusted up and nice and little. And then the last bit we've got, hang on, let's put that there. So I've made a Maui's hook, so I'll show you how to do that. And we'll dust that up and like paint some little patterny bits on it. And then the final bit, so the bit that I've done with tape, was make some rooster feathers, because I think the chicken, it's Hey Hey, isn't it, in there, is like one of the best. I always like the supporting characters of the animal ones. So that's the feather. And then this, because I had to play, how cool does it look with the dust on it? So I'm quite excited about those. I like doing fun things with tape. And yes, it is the ice cream man.
There's a fleet of them outside.
Yeah. So I've just got some yellow flour paste, and that is fairly pale yellow, so it's just white with a little blob of yellow food colouring in it. So just a little bit of the paste, littler even than that, like just a wee little ball, like so. Heat the wire up. 24 gauge wire, and then just pop it on the ball, and then you can get rid of that. And then look, I'm just flattening out the ball, and I'm just going to twist it down the wire. And what we want to do is make this sort of shape, so we've got like a larger knobby bit on the end, and then it thins itself out. And then we want our trusty old round-nosed tweezers. So these were acquired for the princely sum of 50p from Wilko's, so they don't need to be anything fancy. I'm just gonna take our tweezers and just do 3 little pinches. Spin it around a little bit and keep doing those 3 little pinches. And this, in miniature version, is going to give us an approximation of the rather more complicated stamens and other, well, we could do just a little pinch or 2 on top as well. So pink, white with just a little bit of our magenta colouring in it. You can make them paler, darker, whatever you fancy. We're going to want our petal pad, 5-petal cutter, and this one is a 4cm one. Now if you don't have one of those, I reckon you could totally do it with this, which is the larger petunia cutter that comes with the Blossom Sugar Art petunia mould, which is what we're going to use for the petals. So either of those would be totally cool. And just pop a little bit of petal base on my fingers. If you've not got petal base, then you can use Trex or Crisco or Kofa. We're going to make a little ball, take the middle hole of the petal pad and just squash that in. And do you see you get this like sticky up bit there. Now I'm not going to say it, but we all know what it looks like. So let's get that out of the way. This is a Mexican hat technique, and this is, so we've got our filler flowers class up on the website, and this is one of the techniques that I use in that to make all sorts of different things. But tonight we're using it for a miniature hibiscus. Is it hibiscus or hibiscus? Hibiscus. This, okay, tiny rolling pin. It is a cake pop stick, plastic one, Adam, for whatever. but I'm just using as a miniature rolling pin just to thin that out. Right, corn flour on the mould, and of course because of the sticky out bit we're not going to close it. We are just going to use that one side and we just want to press that down. But what I'm going to do, and I would do this normally but I'm doing it especially because it is so warm, is just coat my fingertips in a little bit of corn flour so that I can press onto it nice and solidly. The mould has got this great big sticky up bit there. It's just making sure that I'm sort of shaping it onto that nicely, and then you get this lovely detailing inside. We want to take our small ball tools, sorry I'm hiccuping, and we are just gonna go around the edge of them because we want them quite frilly. And can you see how I'm turning it so that I've got it on the flat each time? And then the other thing that I'm doing, giving it a little squidge to stick the petals together so that it is less floppy, basically. And then I'm just going to go around once more with the even littler ball tool. And can you see how much more frilly it's making those edges, which is what we want. Right, I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue in there, take my centre and pop it down the middle. When you stick it through, make sure that you hit the middle of this sort of throat there. You don't want to put it in like that because then obviously that's not going to help the flower stay on. So you just got to make sure you come through the middle. And then we're going to pull it up to where the yellow starts and then press and twist. And if we need to, we can come with our fingers and just give it a really good squeeze. And then we can stick him upside down to dry just for a little while so that it holds its shape, and he's going to end up looking like that. So, little tropical leaves. Now these, I promise you that these are going to be super easy to do, and I have done them in 3 sizes. If I can find a smaller one. Is that one littler? Ah, there we go. So this shade of green, I've got green food colouring, so our green gel, and I just popped a little bit of brown in it just to tone it down slightly so that it's a nice green instead of like neon green. So they're a leaf shape, and then we just use a little knife to kind of cut those notches out of it. If you wanted to, you could absolutely just hand cut the leaves because it's just a very basic leaf shape like that. But what I did, because I know that some of you don't like hand cutting things, it's not your bag. So what I did is I've done them with the rose petal cutters, so our rapid rose cutters, and I used the big ones with the 12 centimetre, the medium ones with the 10, and then the smaller ones with the 9. Proper rolling pin this time. And the one thing that's wonderful about making tropical leaves is that they don't need to be super thin, because tropical leaves are always a little thicker and a bit more waxy and so on. We can cut this bit, so press firmly and give it a wiggle. Pop that out of there, and then we'll take our knife and just trim to the top so that we've got single petals. And to be fair, actually, if you had petal cutters, there's no reason you couldn't do it with those either. So green 26 gauge, I'm going to pop them on my petal pad and just take the nice big ball tool and just go around the edge. So just soft wave, thin it out a little bit and get a nice soft wave. And then we'll take the knife, or you could use a scalpel or whatever you fancied, and we are just going to cut little triangular notches out of the leaf. You just want sort of 3 or 4 on the side. They are smaller at the top than at the bottom, and you can do them opposite, or you can do them like I'm doing here, sort of off centre to each other. Doesn't really matter, whatever you fancy. And then we want our trusty old Dresden tool, and we're going to use the pointy end, but we're not using the point, we're using the spine just here. So you can see the angle that I'm holding it at, and we just want to do this sort of nice impression, this rib down the centre. like that. And then if you wish, either with the spoon end, or we can do it with a ball tool, we can just give those bits a little bit more shape, but it's not essential. So we just need a weeny bit of flour paste, like so. We'll take the wire, dip the end into some glue, and I tend to sort of wipe it off because you don't want too much glue. And we will insert that into our little sausage of paste. And then you're just going to twist it down the wire. And then we'll pop a little bit of glue or water on there. And then just press our leaf onto it. It's just a piece of paper. I just folded it in half and then folded those bits back because it means that we can set it out wherever we want, pop the leaves in there, and then do you see they just dry with just a nice gentle little curve sitting there. So this is great for butterflies as well, if you find yourself making any butterflies, because it's the perfect thing to do that with. Little tiny coconut, super easy. Candle again, like I said, I totally could have done these at the same time, but I did not. And then you want a 26 or 24 gauge wire for our coconuts. Flour paste again, brown food colouring, and we just want to make a ball that is, what's that, about the size of a 5p piece, do you think? And then we're just going to heat up our wire again. So this is a 24 gauge, so it's thicker, which means it will take a little while to heat up. And once it is nice and hot, just pop it in there. And do you see that puff of smoke? So the puff of smoke is what you're looking for, because if you've done the puff of smoke, then it is hot enough that it's melted the sugar as it's going in, and that's what's going to help hold it in place. And then to make it look coconutty, I'm going to take my trusty old paring knife again, and we're just going to pop all these little lines in it, so they're all sort of coming out from the centre. And then once we've gone all the way around on the top, we'll then just go around again on the side, because actually if the lines don't join up top to bottom, it doesn't show and it doesn't matter at all. And just again pop those lines in, and then you might find once you've done that from holding it, it's changed shape a bit, but don't worry, we can just sort of squidge it back into shape. And that is about it. So hopefully once that's dusted up and we put some darker brown on it, it will look coconutty. So 24 gauge white wire inside, and then the colour here is just white and a tiny bit of brown. So that was the white, and I'm just going to take a little bit of the brown, the coconut brown, just a wee bit, and mix it in so that we get a off-white ivory-ish sort of colour. So the first thing we need to do with our wire is bend it to more or less the right shape for Maui's hook, which is about that. Now I just made this up as I went along, but if you wanted to, you could always print off a picture of the hook, or sit and draw it first, or give yourself some sort of template. So I'm just going to roll this out, and roll it out quite thick, because we need this to have some substance to it. We don't want it to be too thin at all. You can see the top of my hook fits really nicely into that circle cutter there, which, to be honest, I mean, it was luck as much as judgment, but if you've got circle cutters, you can always make the hook the right size for the cutters. That would have been a cleverer thing to do. And I'm just going to pop it on there, and then just press down the one side, right? I haven't pressed the bit near me, I've only pressed there. So can you see it's given me that outline? And then I can pop my hook on there, and we want to cut out the middle. And doing it this way, it means that we've used a cutter to do the two hardest bits, which is giving us the curve around the top and then the hole in the middle, because that is what's really difficult to do just with like a knife or a cutting wheel or anything. And then we're going to take our trusty old cutting wheel, and we're going to bring that line down there, because again, remember, it's like a question mark, and this one can just come up and meet that there. And we haven't got an entire cut all the way around just there, because we didn't press it all the way down, so you just need to go around it. And that should bring that out, which it did. And I'm going to keep this because we'll use that for the second bit. And then I'm going to cut there because that's the end of the hook. And then this inside circle, we're going to bring down like that. And as you can see, it's formed the right shape much, 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 much easier than if we had tried to cut the whole thing by hand, because it's just, and I know this like from, and you guys will as well, from cutting letters and stuff, outsides are okay, insides are so difficult to get neatly. So the most important bit there was having that little circle in the middle. So anyhow, there is that bit, and we need to put that little notch in it there because I decided that that was important. So we're just gonna cut a little slit there and then just trim that off so that we have the notch. And then we just need the rough shape. So if we just use the Dresden tool, and I'm just tracing around it, around this outside bit, I'm going to use my little cutter inside again, because we don't want to have to cut that by hand. And then again, just that line there and that bit across the top. You just need enough of an impression that you've got a guide of where and how to cut. Is that showing up? Give it a bit more of a wiggle. Because then once we have that, we can then just follow that along with the cutting wheel. We can get that bit out of the middle and then snip that away. So now we've got two bits that are more or less the same. We are going to take plenty of glue and coat the second one. So the second one is always going to be a little bit scruffier than the first one, so we'll put that at the back. Sit the wire on it, and again you've got, oh, there is a little bit of movement, remember. And then the first one is just going to sit on top like that. And again, a little bit of movement to get them to line up, and then just press it down really well. Dependent on how neat a job we've done at matching them up, if you need to, we can come and just trim the two together so that we've got a nice neat edge. And then this bit, I found that doing the cutter like that, again pushing it up against it, you get that nice sort of curved shape on it. So this bit at the end here, just give it a good old pinch and then remove any excess. And then that, once it's dried, you end up with this beautifully solid 2D shape that, like, it's not gonna collapse at all. It's nice and solid, and I'm hoping that once we've given that a little bit of dusting to shade it and so on, and we can paint some bits on it, that will look quite effective. Our final bit to make, and I'm right chuffed with these, I've got to be honest, is those lovely feathers. Now we want 28 gauge white wire, although to be honest, if you used a thicker gauge it wouldn't matter at all. And then I need my white tape, which I'm going to take, you need twice as long as how long your feather is going to be, basically. And the sticky side is what you want facing up, so that when you fold it over, the sticky sides are together. We'll just pop the wire on in the middle, fold that over, and then try and get it to meet evenly, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't. And then just press it down really, really, really well. Just to say as well that, so floral tape, when you get it, it's crinkled up, and then the sort of waxy sticky stuff is in the gaps. So just make sure that you stretch it before you fold it over so that you've released all that wax and it's going to stick to itself nicely. At the end, hold it firm in one hand, twist the open end just so that it's nice and, like, it's not going to go anywhere because we twisted it on like that. And then you just want a pair of little scissors, so like some little nail scissors, or these ones which are sewing scissors, and also like a bird. First things first, just trim it down so that we've got a pointy triangle at the top. So look, as you've all probably worked out, we are then just going to take the scissors and just snip in at an angle. But yeah, any pair of scissors would do. I just really like these ones. So I've done the snipping, and do you know what I really liked about this? You know, with real feathers, if you pull them the wrong way, they sort of separate. That is exactly what this does. Look. And I thought that was totally appropriate because that wee chicken in Moana is like a bit scatty. And then what you can do is if you pop it on your petal pad, if you just sort of, look how curly you can make it, and you get this beautiful curve on it that you can then open back up and just, yeah, whatever shape or anything you need. So I'm going to start with the leaves, not for any special reason, just because. I'm going to take some of my bright lime and just pop this on from the outside, coming in towards the centre. Now with these leaves, because we've dried them in that cupped up shape, do be careful as you are dusting them, because if you're too rough with it, you'll break them, because obviously you're putting pressure contrary to the shape of it. Right, so that was the lime, just to brighten them and give them a little bit of zing. And I'm just going to take a little bit of the deep green, I think. So with the deep green, I'm just going to run a little bit, a really little bit, just up the centre and out towards the edge slightly. And there's, it's just a wee bit. I don't want to make them too dark, it's just so they've got a little bit of kind of, like almost like a shadow in the middle there. So I've got a bit of brown. This brush is sort of a blacky purple colour, that should do it, it'll be alright. So I'm just gonna swoosh the brush just up and down. So look, I'm just coming up and down with the colour. And can you see how it is sort of getting some bits and missing others, so that you get that sort of mottled look of a coconut shell, really. This one does face that way, so that is the front. You just want to take a tiny little bit of brown, and we're just going to catch the edges. So we're just sort of coming in at an angle so that we get a build up on the edge, and then like a little shading in the centre, but we're certainly not looking to turn the ivory colour brown. We just want to give it some shading and some definition. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of Rejuvenated Spirit in there. So if you've not got Rejuvenated Spirit, then you could use vodka or gin, or even water if you didn't want to use booze would be fine, to mix up some dusts with. So you can see it's not thick at all, it's very much sort of watercolour-y like. Now there is absolutely, you totally could if you so wished, but there is no way that I'm going to sit here and actually paint on what's on his hook, because it's a whole bunch of things. It's oh god, if memory serves, I think it tells a story possibly. So instead I'm just going to go for some wiggly lines and some shapes, and you can see they're coming up really, really pale, but that's what we want, because again it's a texture as much as it is anything else. Magenta and violet pink, and I think if we do a mixture of the two with one of the smaller brushes here. So I want to come into the middle of the flower and pull the colour up each petal. And it's totally cool that you're going to get pink on that yellow bit in the middle, because the only bit that we actually need to be yellow is the very top, so you can make sort of the stem under the knobbly bit a slightly stronger pink. Yeah, that might work better, you know, because it hasn't got that sort of purplish tone to it from the violet pink there. So we've got to go with this one. We can pop just a little bit on the outside. And actually, look, we'll still use that purpley one because they go together nicely. A little bit of yellow because we just want to brighten up the those knobby bits on the end. Little yellow brush because, as always, the yellow is the one that's sacred. And that's it. So again, I'm just flicking it roughly over it so that you get you can still see some of the pale yellow showing through, like we did on the coconut. You don't want to necessarily make the whole thing bright. It's just giving it a sort of highlight and low light of the colour. So for the feathers, they are really cool. So every so often you do something and you're like, that's pretty neat. I'm pleased with myself for it. We want all the blues, any excuse and opportunity to use all these fun colours. So bluest blue, bluest blue, possibly some navy, possibly some of the royal blue, definitely the teal. So if we go bluest blue first, and I'm just gonna streak it on. And what's nice as well is because the tape is waxy, little gummy, it holds the colour pretty nicely, which is good. Some teal at the bottom. And just bring that up there. So can you see we've got this lovely colour gradient from the tealy bit to the bluey bit. Tell you what, I'll do green because we can always overdust the green a bit brown if we need to, but we wouldn't be able to overdust the brown into being green. So it's just half width tape. Let's start with a couple of leaves in the background. And in fact, I will start off with our biggest ones. That one can be sort of tall and at the top, and this one can... Oh. Right, so that will be, this is always the hardest bit. It's a bit like when you, I don't know, writing an essay or something and you've got that, the blinking cursor on the thingy. It's always the first bit is the hardest. So let's go in, let's start off with 2 leaves and then we will get going. Right, okay, so we want them to go about there. Give or take. So let's just get the tape around and get them attached. One other thing I was going to do with the hooks, I thought of this earlier and I was like, oh, it'd be really cool, even though you probably won't be able to see it in the finished thing, but it's going to please me to do it anyway. So brown tape, and I'm going to twist it like we would do for twisty wisty bits, but twist it fairly loosely. So what does it look like now, Chris?
That?
Yeah.
A worm?
No. Like a rope.
Oh.
So we can take our twisted bit of tape, and I'm just going to wrap it around the bottom of the hook, just like in the film, as if it was a piece of rope. So I'm going to pop the hook on there, I think, and just get that tape wrapped around like so. And then remember, we've got plenty of leaves still that we can add as and when we need to. So we've got some coconuts as well. I mustn't forget those. So I'm just going to pop one there, and then we'll maybe have another one just there, sort of in front of it. And I think, boys and girls, that it might be time for a flower. See, look, suddenly it comes together. Now, I think that a hint of feathers is the way to go with this. So I think I'm just going to pop them on at the back there. And see, the thing with the feathers here is we want them all together so that they do look like a cockerel's tail, but then also not so close together that you can't see that they're more than, you know, one thing. Right, and there we go. I quite like this one. I like these hibiscuses actually. I wasn't sure, when I sat down to do it earlier, I wasn't entirely sure how I would do them so that they were sort of, you know, quickie little flowers instead of giant, making a bazillion petals and drying them and this, that and the other. I'm a bit, okay, look, we can just see the rope. I don't know why, I see, like, I get obsessed with the silliest things, the rope. But yeah, that is, I'm glad you guys like it. Thank you very much. And that's yeah, it's definitely Moana-ish. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, I love to see what you guys make. So do join our group on Facebook, Natalie's Cake Studio, where you can share your pictures, ask any questions or get any help that you might need. The link is in the description, along with a link to our website as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and do check out some of our other videos. We'll see you next time.